Where should I start with this? Probably right from the beginning. Well, I have a Honda CB125, and I got that about 4-5 years ago. And every time I ride it, I want to go into the bush. So I got such a good deal on the CBR125 that I've just stuck with it. Last year, I was lucky enough to find like a nice vintage motorcycle that I picked up. So between the 400 and my 125, I only was riding the 400. So I thought, if I can sell my 125, I'm definitely gonna get myself a dual sport enduro kind of thing. A couple weeks ago, I found a buyer for the 125, and then I started looking again, and this thing popped up used online. Everything about the ad was great, but I wasn't sure, so I just I sat on it overnight, and then the next morning I was looking at the ad again, and I said, I'm buying that bike. That's the bike. My brother also found the bike on Facebook Marketplace, and I told him to message him there and get the phone number for the guy. The guy finally answered my brother and just gave him a phone number. So I instantly call the phone number. I get him on the phone. I say, don't sell the bike to anybody else. I want the bike. And he says, oh, are you going to give me the asking price? And I knew the bike was great from the ad. I don't know how or why, but I said, yeah. And he said, okay, I'll be home tonight. So that night, I bought the bike. Wednesday morning, I went to the ministry. I put it in my name. So the next day, I take it to get a mechanical. The mechanical was done by noon. By 2 o'clock, I have insurance. I go back down to the MTO, and by 4 o'clock, I had license plates, and I was riding my brand new enduro, and it was sick. I took it down this little trail at the end of the street. I was just out riding around, and this guy from my childhood, like a childhood buddy, was in his front yard, and he's always got this side-by-side sitting in the front. So I pulled in and I beeped at him. He says he's going to call me on Friday morning between like 11 and 12. Messages me, we're ready to go. It's noon, and by the time we got out to Capriol, where he had to unload his buggy. He can't ride it on the road from Sudbury. So we unload, and then we just started going wild. This thing is so fun. First off, like a little sand pit, and hit this bump. I guess he had some suspension he needed to test if it was going to break, so we hit this little side road jump thing. And then we finished off in the sand pit. He did some like burnouts and stuff, and I'm still getting used to this thing. I have no idea what it does. So we're just cruising around. Then we get back to the road. We ripped quite a bit of main road to get to where we were going. I don't even know where we were. And right off the bat, we started stopping to do some sightseeing, because I've never been out there, and he knew. So he just kept pulling over and showing cool stuff. So we stopped at this open pit mine, and it had like wicked blue water, and it was pretty clear right near the shore. Kind of looked like tropical beach land. So I'm like, obviously pull out the drone and then fly around there for a bit, get some cool pictures of this lake, which is apparently 700 feet deep in the middle. It was gravel road for quite a while, like nice gravel road that had no potholes or washboard, nothing. So we were just ripping there. And then finally, I remember going over this little bridge. There was a construction zone bridge thing. We had to stop at this stoplight, cross the bridge, and then I think it started going into the trail. If I remember correctly, it was like nice trail for a bit, and then finally it turned into kind of pebbly, bouldery stuff, like big round rocks, with puddles every 20 feet. So it took me a while, but I finally figured out this technique to do the puddles. I would just like put my feet up here, which was incredibly sketchy because I had a bag with 4 cameras in it, and if I would have tipped over, my cameras would have all been ruined. But I risked it to not have wet feet, but I nailed it with my footwear because I wore Gore-Tex socks. Anyways, tons of puddles, lots of cool lakes, little rivers and waterfall crossings, and bridges and stuff that cross the road here and there. It was pretty sweet. I never knew any of this stuff existed just north of where I live. Like in 6 hours, I did 250 kilometers. I'm gonna have to start doing these trips way more often because that was so cool. We ended up almost to Highway 144. I'm gonna have to ask my buddy to send me the GPS picture of where we went, and I'll put it right here. On a ping, close to Highway 144, it was all this logging roads stuff in there. I went through 3 GoPro batteries because we were out there for 5 hours. The whole ride was like 6 hours. It was amazing. When I'm ripping behind that buggy, crazy. Like, just look how much dust is flying around from this buggy right here in this on this logging road. It's like a cloud, and it was like that quite a bit. That didn't bother me. I thought it was cool. But on the way home from where we were ripping through the puddles. Like, our speed doubled, I think. And that's another thing about this bike that I liked. There were a couple times where I was going way too fast for the conditions, and at the last minute I'd see a rock that was about this big and like that tall that I get target fixated on, and just thinking like, okay, I'm gonna fly off the bike right now. But it just soaked up the bumps. So smooth, just unbelievably amazing. I'm digging the bike. Oh, I found tons of sweet camping spots that I could like take my truck to, because these trails aren't rough. They're really, really good. Like, if you had a 4-wheel drive truck, they're accessible to get to these campsites. They're just off of the skidoo trails back there. So I don't know if it's private property or what, but there are some cool places to camp, and they're not that far away. It would only take 2 hours to get to. And I'm like, my camping setup, I don't need to make a fire or anything, so I could be super, super stealthy back there. There's big trees and big hills and cliffs and nature and rivers and streams. It was beautiful. So as the seasons change here, it's just going to get better and better for photography and video. And if you want to subscribe and like the video, or come back to my channel, you might be able to see more and more adventure-y motorcycle stuff, and that will be fun. So I'm gonna keep doing this. It's like I'm hooked. This is awesome. It's motorcycling adventure style. This thing, I can go anywhere with it, and on the highway it's still fast. It goes 120, no problem. Well, not no problem, wrung out. Tires make a ton of noise, but it's super perfect for around here, and not doing crazy highway miles, but riding the dirt. I'm so blown away. Like, I'm actually super stoked. This is crazy. I can't believe I have this bike. I can't believe I didn't have this bike sooner. It would have been so cool to have this thing in high school, and you totally could. Like, you could have a motorcycle way easier than you could have a car. It would be sick, because then you'd have more people to ride. I don't know one other person with a bike like this, except my dad, and my dad's is a DR 650, so it's like more for the highway. But we'll get some riding in together, and that'll be cool. Thanks for hanging out during this story and adventure. Fun.